Hey everybody, welcome back to another action figure unboxing and review, Marvel Legends edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at the X-Men 97 Goblin Queen. And before I get into the figure, I just want to say, if you haven't seen the show yet, I'm not going to do any really... Well, I guess there's technically spoilers to the show, but the episodes that she's in and dealing with the baby is information that's been around for decades in the comics, so I'm just going to be talking about that in general anyway. So if you've not read the comics or seen the show, then maybe skip this review until you caught up and then come back to it. But that's your only warning, because I'm getting into it now. So you don't want to hear anything, stop now. So Goblin Queen is known as Madeline Pryor. And of course, if you've seen the show, you know in the first 5 episodes, it's revealed that she was cloned from Jean Grey. And we don't know exactly how long she has been the Jean Grey in this series as opposed to the real Jean Grey. There's differences between the way they did it in the show. I was actually interested when I first started watching the show. I was interested to see how they were going to bring her in, because they had already done the Dark Phoenix saga, and the Phoenix Force had resurrected Jean then and there before it vanished. But that's not how it went in the comics. In the comics, when that whole incident with the space shuttle and when Jean first absorbed the Phoenix Force, basically in the comics, it seriously injured her, mortally even. So the Phoenix Force put her in another dimension to heal, which is called like the White Area or the White Room or something like that. And so Jean was recuperating there while the Phoenix Force itself cloned her body and lived with the X-Men through that period up into the Dark Phoenix saga, where she seemingly died. But what happened really was the Phoenix Force can't really die. It's immortal. It's not just called the Phoenix Force because it looks like a fiery bird sometimes, but it actually resurrects when it's destroyed in our world, or in the comic version of our world. It goes to the same place where it put Jean's body to recuperate, and when it's ready, it's reborn, just like a phoenix. In this case, after Jean's supposed death during the Dark Phoenix saga, Cyclops, of course, left the team. Eventually, Madeline Pryor showed up. And in the comics, she was always Madeline Pryor. She was never Jean Grey, unlike the cartoon, which had her acting as Jean Grey. In the comics, she was always Madeline. That was always her name. But she did still look like Jean. And so Cyclops fell in love with her. They got married. They had a child. But then the real Jean Grey came back. She finally recuperated, and the Phoenix released her from the White Area. I can't remember what that place is called. I'm sorry. And she returned to the X-Men. And so Scott was confused, and eventually he left Madeline to go back to Jean while she was pregnant, I might add. So, yeah, Scott's not really a nice guy sometimes. But so then she gave birth to Nathan, just like in the cartoon. And Nathan would eventually grow up to become Cable, just like in the cartoon. But at this point, Scott leaving her kind of fractured her mind, made her depressed and whatnot. And so she became easy pickings for a demon to make a pact with her and give her power and that eventually led to the Inferno saga, which is a pretty cool crossover arc that went across like the entirety of the Marvel Universe. So that was a pretty cool arc that definitely you should read at some point if you've never read it before. It's a really fascinating arc. And they kind of skipped over that in the cartoon. Like, they rushed it. The whole Goblin Queen only lasted, the whole Goblin Queen thing only lasted like 2 episodes in the series, and they excised the demon aspect entirely. It was all just Mr. Sinister. And just like in the cartoon, Mr. Sinister was responsible for creating Madeline Pryor. So it was his genetic engineering and cloning ability that gave birth to her. And he did do it in order to gain access to the offspring of her and Cyclops. But just like in the cartoon, he failed. Nathan was sent into the future where he grew up and became Cable. So, now that you know the story, let's take a look at the figure. Now, one of the first things you'll notice if you've seen this show is that Hasbro didn't bother painting her upper thighs. In the cartoon, her thighs are bare. But I guess they didn't have the budget to allocate paint for the thighs there. I will probably go and paint those myself at some point. I'll just have to find the paint color that matches the rest of her exposed skin there. So hopefully I'll be able to find that and it won't be too tough. But I really want her to be screen accurate, and that's not screen accurate. I'm also hoping the version in the cartoon wears a much more scantily clad than this one. Like, she just has like a bra top. Most of her midriff is exposed, but her legs are pretty much the same. Kind of think the White Queen, just in black, kind of, you know. Except, yeah, she doesn't have a corset. She's wearing just like the bra top. They did have a similar looking one to the comic version with the Engine of Vengeance HasLab that failed to fund. I really wish that had succeeded, because I really wanted that Mephisto and the comic accurate Goblin Queen. So I do hope they do revisit this at some point and make her more comic accurate, because I definitely prefer the comic versions of characters. But until then, this will suffice. So, I've shown before how I open these. It's not that complicated. You can probably find it in another video. But let's get the tray out and then take a look at the box itself. You got that nice artwork of Madeline there, Goblin Queen. There's all the figures, X-Men 97. And then on the back, you've got the figure, and then all the other figures that are available in this wave. Now, I already have a Cyclops, a Jean Grey, and I didn't like this version of Magneto. I'm not a completionist, and also I didn't care about the Executioner. I'm not a completionist, so the only ones I got in this wave are Madeline and Nightcrawler. So, don't expect the full, like, 6 reviews from me from all 6 figures. You'll just be getting Goblin Queen today and then Nightcrawler on Friday. So, then you got some legalese on the bottom there. No blurb, unfortunately. It would be nice. It'd be nice if they have a blurb just for people who didn't know the history. I mean, you could say something about her without spoiling the show. You definitely should see the show if you haven't seen it already. If you liked the original X-Men cartoon, then this one is going to be right up your alley. It's like nothing's changed. It's almost exactly the same. If you're one of those people that cares about, like, culture war and stuff like that, don't listen I've heard videos, I've watched videos of people complaining about X-Men 97 is going to be woke and all that stuff, but I didn't see it. I'm gonna admit it. I'm not personally a fan of forced agenda, and I don't care what agenda it is, left or right, but I'm not a fan of that in entertainment. I know it makes us way in there eventually anyway, because that's just the nature of things these days, but I honestly didn't see any kind of like agenda in the X-Men 97 show. So, I mean, I wasn't looking that hard for it either. I'm sure, like anything else, if you look hard enough, you'll find it. But I just wanted to be entertained, and I was, so I'm happy about that. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the first series. I've got 5 episodes down so far, and it's going to be a new episode every Wednesday until 10 episodes for the first season. And then it's already been renewed for 2 more seasons at least, I think. So that's good news, because I can't wait to see how they go from here. There's still so many villains we haven't even seen in the X-Men series. The Brood. We haven't really gotten... we've seen Deathbird, but she hasn't really done much yet. There's Arcade. We haven't gotten to Arcade yet. He's kind of minor in the theme of things, but they could do a really good job with the murder world. They could make that episode really fun. God, what else is there? I guess they could bring the hand back if they wanted to get into the whole Psylocke thing. Or they could bring the hand in if they wanted to get into the whole Psylocke thing. Of course, we saw the return of Apocalypse in the last season of the previous series, so he's primed for a comeback. Well, let's see. Oh, who's that guy? Bastion. You haven't seen Bastion yet, so it'd be interesting to see when he comes around. But anyway, this is a really nice figure, but I can already tell just from the briefly touching on her legs here, on her feet, that she's going to have a hard time standing. I'm going to need to put her on a stand, because this cloak is heavy. And the figure itself is pretty light. So, yeah. It's gonna be hard finding a proper balance for her without a stand. So just be wary of that when you get this figure. And the cloak's even pulling her diaphragm cut back. But that head sculpt, wow. That's a fantastic looking head sculpt. So I get more light in here for you guys. Isn't that beautiful? Perfect head sculpt. She looks a little like Jean, but not enough that you could like pop this head off and put it on a Jean Grey body and it would look, like it belongs. And her head, of course, is more of a it's a bit different shade of red than the Jean Grey that they released in this line. Let's take a look at the... Actually, no, they might be pretty similar. I was wrong. I'm probably thinking of the other Jean. See, the Jean Grey I have on display is the one that came in the VHS, the one from the original series, the one based on the original series, and her hair color is a little bit different. I didn't get the new one. The new one had a better body. I was going to get the new one, but then I decided, you know what, I'm probably going to try to get the Mafex one, because that one looks really good. So, I'm going to see if I can grab the Mafex one. somewhere. But yeah, nice looking figure. It's got the amulet around the amulet clasp around the cloak. I think I read somewhere that this is the same cloak that came with the Celine from the Hellfire Club San Diego Comic-Con 4-pack with just some minor changes like the clasp. But I think they said the rest of it was pretty much the same. But I could be wrong. I'm just going by what I heard, not by what I personally witnessed. Not a whole lot to the bodysuit, really. It's just all black. There's some lines here in the corset section, and of course there's the boots. It would have looked nicer if that had been painted flesh like it was in the cartoon. That would have at least made the boots stand out more. But they did use a darker black for the color of the boots as opposed to the... Yeah, that's not a hip, or that's not a thigh cut or anything. There's the thigh cut below the... But yeah, they use a darker, like kind of a... It's matte, but it also has a little bit of a gloss to it, so not too bad. And then, of course, their hands with their nice painted black fingernails. Also looks nice. I do like that head sculpt. That face is fantastic looking. And I don't even think... Yeah, they did use that face print technology. It looks really good. But this is the bane of many Marvel collectors' existence. The heels. The heels. Arg. Oh, anyway. Let's go over articulation. She can look down pretty well, but you're not going to be able to get she's not going to be able to look up because of the hair, obviously. She can do the Exorcist. She does have some tilt. Not quite as much as some others, but it's there. The cloak kind of goes up and around the shoulder, so you can get a pretty full range of motion out of the arms. She can go up a little bit more than 90. She does have a bicep cut. This is the newer body, so that's nice. She's got the double jointed pinless elbows. I do love these double jointed elbows on a female figure. Their biceps aren't as big, so you get so much more out of them. You get more movement. She does have the horizontal on both wrists. Obviously, she doesn't need an up-down. She doesn't use guns, so she doesn't have any trigger fingers. Basic female diaphragm cut. Standard. She can get about that far forward. Can get about that far back. And she can turn at the diaphragm cut. And she can tilt. Can't move at the waist, obviously. This is one solid piece that doesn't go anywhere. Let's see. She can split her legs about that far. She can kick up about that far. And kick back not very far at all. The booty gets in the way. She does have that thigh cut, which is just above the knee. Double jointed pinless knees. So that's good. No boot cut, unfortunately, because the boot's all the way up here. Her heel can go back that far and can go forward that far. It does have rocker and very, very important peg holes on the bottom because you're going to need them. Good luck getting her to stand in pretty much any pose other than just really basic. All right, so accessories. You pretty much saw them as I was taking them out, but she does have fists. If you want her to join MMA, she does have a pair of fists that she can punch people with. She can punch Scott in the face for leaving her while she's pregnant. He actually didn't do that in the cartoon. That's one difference. He was there for the birth of Nathan. He didn't leave her until afterwards, when Jean returned and beast tests proved that she was the clone and not Jean. She does come with these magic effects, pretty standard for Marvel. We get the same ones with every character that can cast energy effects. We get these exact same ones. It's like, retire the sculpt already. Make something new, for God's sake. Do we have to keep getting the same crap over and over again? These do not function very well. They didn't function very well in the beginning. Give us something different, Marvel. Or Hasbro, rather. Last but not least, she comes with Nathan. And he is just a static, swaddled infant. No movement. Nice head sculpt if you're into that kind of thing. I don't have much use for babies. Also has that little X blanket. It's kind of cool. This is little baby Cable. Whatever you do, don't give him to your adult grown-up Cable, because the same matter can occupy the same space at the same time. Bad things will happen if you give this baby to your adult Cable figure. Don't do it. So, Madeline is a very exceptional figure, in my opinion. I really like her. I do look forward to a comic-accurate version to go along with my Sinister. I can do my own Inferno setup. But that depends on whether or not we get any of the demons. I don't know if that'll ever happen because, I mean, they're demons. Hasbro was already reluctant to... I mean, Hasbro has already been proven to be reluctant to release Mephisto. So I don't know if they're going to release any of the other ones. So I'm not even going to try to stand her up properly. I just have her leaning up against the backdrop there, so she won't fall over. I would definitely pick this figure up. It's probably too late at this point. She's been out for long enough that she might have sold out in whatever online toy store or in-person toy stores near you. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how busy your town is. Maybe she's still hanging on the pegs somewhere, Target or Walmart or whatever. Definitely pick her up. This is the only Goblin Queen I think we've had. And if we've had one in the past, it's probably way back in the Toy Biz days. So this is definitely, even with the standing issues due to those heels, this is definitely bound to be better articulated and better head sculpted than the one that they might have given us previously. Definitely a good figure. Can't say that enough. Watch the show. You won't regret it if you like the original series. I will be doing Nightcrawler on Friday. I'll be taking a look at Nightcrawler on Friday. And I did do Magneto, Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine from the first wave. I didn't get Storm or Bishop. So I'm pretty much caught up with these figures. Once I do my Nightcrawler on Friday. So, watch the show. Get this figure. Watch Nightcrawler's review on Friday. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. And I'll talk to you next time.